Why is this such a banger? What's up, chat? Happy Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Hope you guys are vibing. The vibes, you know the vibes. You know the vibes. Makes me high. I don't know why. It's such a banger. It's such a banger. Last year, when we were doing cross streams on Twitch and Facebook, our intro was Seven Nation Army. That one smacks, but we can't do that on YouTube. We can't even do it on Twitch anymore. DMCA apocalypse has occurred, but let's slow fade it out. Okay, we out. But that, hey, we had to land on some royalty free music. I went through hours of catalog, and that one has grown on me significantly. I like it. What's up, chat? Man, we pushed start back 30 minutes since lock is 30 minutes later. I got to sneeze. Excuse me. What's up, Dez? Dez says, man, I thought Gunn was on at 3. Almost tripped up the stairs and spilled my coffee trying to get back to catch the show on time. Oh, man, that's commitment. Don't spill coffee, though. That's not okay. What's up, Darren? What's up, Mark? I decided to late swap Harden for Jokic due to ownership. Harden 36%, Jokic 15%. If I stayed on Harden, would have finished much better. Yeah, James Harden was one of my highest home players last night. Not really a brag, whatever. James Harden at home. First Nets game with fans. Darren has been doing great ever since I bought your VIP pass. I'm glad to hear that. Definitely some value in those spreadsheets and the Discord. The value today is insane. I'm sure there's more to come. Yeah, lots of outs so far on the day. And, of course, the Spurs exist. Desmond says, I know why Gunn likes Bang energy drinks. Because a gun goes bang. All right, judges. They'll allow it. Dougie Fresh. My DFS team today will consist of all-star snubs. Mike Conley, Trae Young, Devin Booker, DeMontis Sabonis to the moon. I'm with that. What's up, Adam? Actually, all those plays they make sense, right? What's up, Crispy? Aldridge in. Does that mess up the guard value for the Spurs? Probably not for me. I mean, you guys got to remember, LaMarcus Aldridge wasn't a usage hog before this game. He was Blake Griffin, right? It'll probably like walk backwards on maybe Trey Lyles' interest, but Dejounte Murray should still be fine. And if you're trying to get creative with some Lonnie Walkers, guys like that, I don't really think like that kills those plays, right? What up, Shadow? What up, everyone? Mark? Lonnie Walker, I got almost like 100%. All right. What up, Amir? What up, Giali Kwan? Plan B. Smoothies. Yikes. Gun that Harden George lock yesterday went well. Nice work. Nice. George, nice little late hammer, right? Damian Carnahan, A-Town down. Cashed one of my 2 lineups. Jamal Murray, his 24th birthday. Kemba Van Vliet. Svi, Fournier, Joe Harris, Tice, Randall, Allen. Let's go. Last night, James Harden led your slate, 70.75 fantasy points on DraftKings, 10.7K. Nets at home against the worst defense in basketball. He triple-doubled. Was pretty easy play. Giannis Antetokounmpo arrive. Drop 60-plus fantasy points, leave. That's all he does. 29 minutes on him, 37 real points. Huge game there. Luka, nice bounce back after being obscene chalk against the Memphis Grizzlies. Dropped 60. But because James Harden existed, right, you didn't need Luka. Steph Curry with a 60 bomb at the Garden after that unfortunate afterlock ruling out at Charlotte. Jokic nearly dropped 60. Trae Young with another 56. That's what he does. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, 55. 36 minutes under new management on the road at Milwaukee. Tough spot. But he almost triple-doubled. 11 assists. That's something to watch for. And today he's in a fantastic spot to curtain call. Dame Dalla dropped 50-plus. Tyrese, I think, was your mid-tier guy to have. 40 minutes out of him. 52 and a quarter fantasy points, and then the rest is all essentially guys that doesn't surprise us, right? Like Westbrook, we're not surprised. Westbrook, Kawhi, Jamal Murray. Any other surprises that popped up here? Draymond, I guess I didn't have Draymond for 37 minutes with a near triple double with James Wiseman, Looney back, but if you guys stuck with some Draymond, nice. But really, don't miss any whack jobs. Bruce Brown made some sense with no Luwawu. No Jeff Green, 25 minutes. He did the most. Worst defense in the league. That they're Kings, you know. Embiid, I guess if you played Embiid, that was a yikes. But yeah, I don't really see any surprises down here. Derrick Rose, super good play. We talked about the merit in using him as a pivot to perhaps some 4K value elsewhere. Also, I think a lot of people landed on Shake Milton late when Steph Curry was rolled out and then Furkan Korkmaz started. But outside of that, I don't really think it was a wild slate. Saban Lee, borderline free square on DraftKings, did what he's supposed to do. Hopefully you guys made it out alive, made out with more money than you started. If not, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's today. And today we have several games on the docket to break down. And I am going to drive the Cadillac, if you don't mind. As of 3 p.m. Eastern, Fantasy Labs tweeted out key news to watch. John Collins questionable. He went down yesterday, got injured. Did he come back? I don't think he came back. Maybe. Let me double check. I definitely know he went down. I was like, oh wait, I had some Collins. John Collins. He did not come back. He didn't touch the court in the second half. So for a back-to-back, there's a good shot. Maybe John Collins doesn't play. We'll see. LeBron James probable. Kyle Lowry probable. Missing a stretch of games. Yesterday was the first time in 17 attempts that the Raptors lost a game without Kyle Lowry in a row. I believe it was 16-0 without Lowry the last 16, and then they lost yesterday. So Tyler Hero questionable, Goran Dragic questionable. Those are pretty impactful players in terms of Kendrick Nunn minutes, and Kendrick Nunn has been doing really, really good things with 40 minutes a game. So if one or both of those guys are in, might move Nunn backwards. Steven Adams probable. Cam Reddish doubtful. He missed yesterday, so we're probably assuming that he's going to be closer to out than in. Between him and John Collins, they could be down a pair of starters, which would make that game a little bit more interesting to chop up, break down. I'll tell you what, let's go open up the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, and I guess we'll get started. Chat, anything before we get started? Any life-changing news? Any any news and notes that you missed? Well, this is going to be a Raj-free episode. Raj taking L's to Chronic up 2-0 in the head-to-head series. Shadow says, choose one of this, please. Gun. Chris Paul over 8.5 assists or 8 and double-double. Over 8.5 assists or an 8 and double-double. I would probably take an 8 and double-double, since Ayton's averaging a double-double on the season, and it's the Charlotte Hornets. If I go check out my player props on him, Control F Ayton, I have him projected at 15 and 13. So I would probably take the double-double. The double-double. Fucci Gang getting hurt didn't help me. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Collins was on his way. He killed his... Yeah. I like John Collins quite a bit. If Cam Reddish... Not like Cam Reddish is like an obscene usage monster, but Tony Snell is not. So I figure you throw a dead body like Tony Snell into the mix, that's just that much more usage to go around. And I thought John Collins would be a frontline beneficiary of that. And he was on pace to be one. And then he got hurt. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? All right, let's get to the tippy top here of the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet and get started. Game number 1 tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tip-off. Boston Celtics at the Atlanta Hawks. It projects starting 5 for the Celtics. Jaylen Brown, Javonte Green, Jason Tatum, Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson taking on Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Tony Snell, John Collins maybe, and Clint Capella. We got 224 as a total, and a 2-point spread in favor of the visiting Boston Celtics. These two teams have faced each other a couple of times in the last week or so. So both coaching staffs should be somewhat aware of what they might have intended tonight in terms of strategy, matchup, stuff like that. But we do have a couple caveats. We'll start with the Celtics side. Kemba Walker will not play this game, and Kemba recently dropped, I believe, like a 60 bomb on the Hawks and Trae Young. Let me pull that up. Kemba. Kemba dropped 52, so not 60, but a 50 bomb. So Kemba Walker out today. We've seen this several times. So we're going to take Kemba off the court, and we're going to put Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the court. And I actually think pre-flop, I might be able to sell myself on wanting both of these guys and not necessarily prevent them from being in the same lineup. A 27% usage rate on Jaylen Brown, a 30.2% usage rate on Jason Tatum. Those are both incredible numbers, and both of these men averaging over a fantasy point per minute. 117.8 is your offensive rating. Defensive rating is, I guess, even more so. We could take off Marcus Smart because he was a significant 34-minute-a-game player, and just see what that does. Usage rate sticks around the same, but both players promote to 1.2 fantasy point per minute, 143 minutes of sample size. So this becomes one of those spots where yesterday the Kyrie Harden handcuff, the Paul George Kawhi handcuff, where I love to throw a blanket over two guys and try to get 50 each 100-plus fantasy points. I think you could do that with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum today. Not necessarily a discount on either one of them, but going against the Atlanta Hawks, it's absolutely a spot where they can take advantage of this extra usage and then just deliver on good results. The Atlanta Hawks defensive rating has been bottom 10 in basketball, and without two starters, I don't know that it gets better. So I like them quite a bit. I like those two quite a bit. I do think there's a third Celtic you could throw in the mix, but it becomes a little bit more of a high variable guess. It could be anybody in the front court. You could maybe get on one of the ancillary guards, a Jeff Teague revenge game, something like that. But I'm not getting too excited to go beyond Tatum and Brown with a high level of confidence. But Daniel Tice, I guess, at 29 minutes, somebody that can PPM in this spot. And on the Hawks side, Trae Young, just under 10K. Great correlation run back, although getting these three guys at their price points, I guess there's enough value today to make it happen. But Trae Young's just been Mr. 50-plus fantasy points, so I don't mind looking at him. And if John Collins is out, just that much more for Trae Young, trying to make this team find some buckets. Clint Capella is probably somebody I'm going to stay away from, but I wouldn't push back at you if you wanted to play him. Gallinari, I have him in the mix for 23, 24 minutes. It is a back-to-back. We'll see if he's been somebody that they've been protecting. We'll see if he plays extended minutes. I don't know that he would, but they might need him to if there's no Collins and no Cam Reddish, guys like that. Kevin Huerter could play extremely deep minutes at 5'3", 5'4", probably be second to third on the team in shot attempts, chipping a chair at that point. And that's kind of it. I don't want to get too creative with these Hawks. You guys got anything on this game, chat? I think it's the obvious. Brown, Tatum, maybe some shots at 30 minutes of Daniel Tice, and then a Trae Young. Yeah. Gunn, do you buy the All-Star snub narrative with Trae possibly having a huge game tonight? I think he's just a good play. I don't know if he's somebody I'm amping up the snub narrative. Point guard is pretty stacked over there, and the Atlanta Hawks haven't been winning at a crazy tick, right? So you're competing with Kyrie, James Harden. I don't think he's got as strong of a case as some other people, but sure, anyone who doesn't make the All-Star team looks for an opportunity to show up and show out best they can. But he's going to be pretty short-handed. But the fact that it's a 2-point game, go for it. I'm not putting extra pizzazz on his projection or anything due to that narrative. I think a guy like Devin Booker, maybe somebody I would look at. Damian Lillard's always somebody I look at. Somebody that is typically openly communicable about that, right? Is that a word? Gunn, who will run the point today for the Celtics? I'd imagine if we who will start in Kemba's spot, it could be Javonte Green, it could be Jeff Teague, it could be Peyton Pritchard. I think there's a shot Peyton Pritchard starts as the 2, but I think Jason Tatum, if we talk about what a point guard does, he assumes a 29.5% assist percentage rate in this spot in limited minutes. No Kemba, no Smart. So Tatum is your playmaker, your facilitator, but I also think Jaylen Brown will get some ball handling duties. So I don't know which guard specifically is going to start in lieu of Kemba body wise, but I think in terms of running the point, creating plays, I think it's Tatum and Brown. And Tatum's the guy that has nearly a 30% usage rate. So there's that. What's up? E made it happen. How you been, buddy? Mark, lead point guard Detroit, only 3,800 DraftKings. Lonnie Walker, Patty Mills, Trey Lyles. Yeah, Saban Lee, back-to-back big games here. Deep minutes look like they're his. What up, Lorenza? What's wrong with Capella? Maybe no Collins. Capella has roasted Boston. I don't think anything's wrong with Capella. I think 40 fantasy points is probably my typical expectation. If I want to target Capella, I really want to target him on a checkbox that ones include points in the paint allowed. And Celtics are kind of medium at points in the paint allowed, so I think he could do just fine. And then I like block potential. And the Celtics, they're average in terms of blocks allowed per game. So, but if the case is John Collins could be out, does Capella play 35 plus minutes? Do you want to play him? Go for it. I'm definitely not disqualifying him from being the pull. He's just not on the front lines just yet. And I'll probably circle back once we get Reddish and Collins news, and then once I've kind of like looked at the rest of the slate and kind of see what I want to do with the center spot. But I don't think anything's particularly wrong with him inherently. I got him right about 40 fantasy points, 5x. I'll take it, right? The point guard is Jason Tatum. He's the de facto, yeah, essentially. Let's move on to the next game. Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Houston Rockets. Project starting five for the Rockets: John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Daniel House, Jayshawn Tate, PJ Tucker taking on Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Taron Prince, Jared Allen. Yesterday we saw Dean Wade start in lieu of Jetty Osman, but it looks like Taron Prince could be back in the mix today. Projected to take back that starting role. 220 is our total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Houston Rockets. Couple Q tags on the Rockets injury report here, so I'm going to pull that up, kind of get to the bottom of it all. Start with Victor Oladipo. He's got a Q tag on him. He is dealing with a right foot strain. Eric Gordon has also got a Q tag on him. He let us down pretty handily the other night. He appeared to tweak his ankle in the second half of Monday's game, and it was enough to land him on the injury report. If he's unable to suit up, Sterling Brown and Ben McLemore should be tasked with more minutes as a shooting guard role. PJ Tucker has his name on the list. He's been upgraded to probable, but is dealing with a lingering left quad injury. And, of course, we know Christian Wood out. We know DeMarcus Cousins is out of there. And it looks like David Nwaba has a Q tag on him as well. But I don't see any updates, so I guess he's closer to in than out. So that's what we're dealing with on the Rockets side. So we could have as much as Wall, Depot, and Gordon, and as little as Wall, Sterling Brown, you know what I'm saying, Ben McLemore, guys like that. So keep an eye on the Houston Rockets news. It's a okay total. Cleveland Cavaliers defensively not great, so I definitely want to pick on the Cavs. And if I get an opportunity where I get a Wall without a Gordon and Oladipo, certainly a spot where John Wall can produce 40-plus fantasy points. I doubt there's any type of sample size, but just from the eye test, if you put this Rockets team on the court against a bottom five defense, and you don't have Depot, you don't have Eric Gordon, you don't have DeMarcus Cousins, you don't have Christian Wood, you got to assume that John Wall is going to be the guy that does it all, or this team is doing nothing. And because they're favorited, I'm leaning on Wall, and I'd also be looking generally at a Jayshawn Tate, though I do think Taron Prince is an upgrade defensively and doesn't really get a lot of people to go off on him for fantasy, so kind of keep an eye on that. A House and a Sterling Brown certainly would be in the mix for me if some of that in and out news cleared stuff up. If Oladipo's in, I think he's very viable, especially if he's in and Gordon's out. 7'4", 7'6". I'm looking for 40-plus fantasy points. My conservative projections have 40 fantasy points or greater on both Wall and Oladipo. And then if both those guys are in, I'd probably take a step back on Eric Gordon, although I still believe there's a range of outcomes where he could thrive. I like guards against the Cleveland Cavaliers. On the Cavs side, I'm probably not going to go after many Cavs, but I do think centers against the Houston Rockets will be the trend until Christian Wood comes back, and even then I'm not running from that. If you guys remember last season when P.J. Tucker was their center, when they were committed to the small ball, they were just getting destroyed, and they just don't have any size down there right now. And I think a guy like Jared Allen would easily be able to take advantage of the spot as our daily train shows up. Last 2 games against the Houston Rockets without a real center. I guess just the last one. They've only had 1 game without DeMarcus Cousins, right? Wendell Carter Jr. had his best game of the season, 29 minutes, 13 rebounds, 45.75 fantasy points. So I definitely think Jared Allen, who's already been kind of hot and getting that opportunity without Andre Drummond, I think he could push for 40-plus fantasy points again. 45, 56, 43 in his last 3 games, 34-plus minutes in all those games. So Jared Allen is absolutely somebody I penciled down. I'd probably start him at the Tier 2 area, and then we'd go up or down from there. And then I think a shot or 2 at Darius Garland isn't crazy. I got him leading the team in minutes at 37. He doesn't even have to be a point per minute. I just think he can do enough in those minutes. So I'd probably pencil him as a Tier 3. If I don't end up with any Garland, it is what it is. But I think he it has enough check boxes in his favor right now to at least be in the conversation of being in the player pool. And we will adjust on the fly later on. Damian, my boy Jaylen Brown, first time All-Star. I thought it says start. I drafted him super late in my season-long ESPN league. I feel like Trey's going to come out firing. I'm fine with Trey. The top snub has to be Sabonis. I think Domantas Sabonis and Devin Booker have cases. I think no matter what, there's, I don't know. It's all-star snubs are, and NBA players like LeBron James. He backed up Devin Booker on Twitter last night. It's easy to back up who is a good player and didn't make it, but I want to see people drop names on who they should have made it over. Right? Should Devin Booker be in over Steph Curry, over Luka? Luka, I believe, said that Damian Lillard should have been in over him. So it's just a bunch of people pointing at each other. And then it's really a popularity contest anyway. So what are you going to do? The point guard is Jason Tatum. Yeah. Jared Allen's the lock of locks. That's probably what's wrong with Capella. What do you think about Allen, 33.5 PRA? So usually when it comes to centers, I don't really go for PRA because A is often, unless it's like a Jokic, a Vucevic, or something like that. But for Jared Allen, I have him at 31.3. So I'd rather just isolate that down to a rebound or a point or something like that. So 33.5, and yeah, I don't have him. Yeah, so I wouldn't deal with that. These traditional centers, adding the A part, it just seems like you might be paying extra juice. So maybe see what the lines are. See if I don't know if I guess Price Picks would have a similar stat if we isolate it. Jared Allen. We don't have Allen on here for rebounds? Huh. Interesting. Let me refresh just in case. Gunn, Luka plus Lillard both in. I meant in terms of starting, not in terms of making it. Okay, we refreshed it, and there is no Jared Allen. Over Zion? Who over Zion? Trey over Zion? I don't think unless, or Sabonis over Zion? I don't think that's possible either. Zion's been good, but he's such a fan favorite that people automatically assume he's next level superstar. So I think Zion is okay. There's a fantasy bubble that doesn't realize how good Zion's been for real life. If we're being honest, Zion is what, over 20 real points a game, 8 rebounds a game. He's averaging 25 points and almost 7 rebounds a game. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Sabonis is. If I'm building a team, I probably and I want to win this season, I probably want Sabonis. But I think from a fantasy perspective, we're stuck on Sabonis's fantasy points, and we don't really. He plays the whole game. He plays like 38, 39 minutes. So I don't want to get into who's better because I think they're not the same player. I think Sabonis is more of one of those triple threat, right? The Jokic's, the guys that have girth, the guys that can facilitate, whatever. Zion is just probably prime Blake Griffin right now. But that's not an insult. So I don't know. But yeah, it is a popularity vote. So Zion gets the edge there. I don't know. I wouldn't take too much offense to people who made or did not make the All-Star break here or the All-Star game. Yoga, what optimizer website do you use for MME? I use Fantasy Labs, but I'm not not affiliated with them, and I'm here to tell you that your optimizer is really as strong as your projections, and as long as you have a tool that will allow you to set exposures and adjust projections, you could pay $10 for some opto somewhere. But I will say Labs has tools that I love, and the player correlation tools, the late optimizer, like if you want to go back in after news, like it works for me, but I understand they're pretty pricey, and I think a lot of optimizers can get you the basics. Zion deserved to be an All-Star this year. Been having a breakout. Yeah, Zion's been fine from a real basketball perspective. I like Sabonis just as much, but Zion is been fine. I like the Blake comp. So when does Devin Booker make it to the All-Star game, averaging 40? Yeah, Devin Booker, I think, like I said, has the strongest case. He's just been Mr. Play a ton of games. He's really good. He's a walking bucket. I think he has one of the strongest cases in the league, and I think most of the league acknowledges that. Let's move on to the next game here. Golden State Warriors at the Indiana Pacers. Projects 35 for the Warriors. Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney taking on Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Domantas Sabonis, the aforementioned, and Miles Turner. We got 231 total here and a 2-point spread in favor of the home team Pacers. You know I'm a sucker for Pacer stacks. Malcolm Brogdon, Domantas Sabonis. I love them both. Sabonis, of course, is at a season high and a career high in price, $10.5K. So you're going to make some strong decisions when you click the plus sign next to his name. The only man on this slate more expensive than Domantas Sabonis is LeBron James at Utah. So essentially Sabonis has to be the highest scoring player on the slate for him to be worth it. And I think the minutes, the opportunity, the usage, all that good stuff is there for him. But is 50 fantasy points the min that we would accept at this price? Probably. And do we just go down for value elsewhere? That's up to you guys. I definitely think his floor is pretty high, and the matchup's fine. Malcolm Brogdon, I love him at 8,200. I think 40-plus fantasy points is in his wheelhouse. We can't forget what TJ McConnell's been doing. Man, I hope I'm not getting sick, dude. TJ McConnell has been a puncher's chance at 30 fantasy points, playing 30 minutes. So this type of matchup, up in pace, low in defense. And McConnell really, really scrappy when it comes to rebounds. The Golden State Warriors are one of the worst rebounding teams. So McConnell might surprise some people with his rebounds. So I definitely don't mind looking his way for a shot at 30. On the Warriors side, Steph Curry, he can give you 50 fantasy points. Yesterday they added Looney and Wiseman to the active list. And Draymond Green still pushed high minutes and high fantasy production. I think he's cheap enough that you can go take some stabs at him still and maybe handcuff him to a Curry. Oubre at 7.5, 7K. Don't get the warm and fuzzies there. Wiggins set 6K. I need the mid-30s return. it's probably not the median range of outcome for Wiggins and Oubre to both pop off, or even one of them to pop off at these price points. So I'm probably staying away. Just a couple of ancillary tier 3 shots on like a Steph. Draymond's the interesting one. You guys have any interest in playing some Draymond? Him going against a higher usage guy like a Sabonis here and there does worry me. Back-to-back, all that good stuff. Earlier in the season, Draymond's been somebody that they baby. And then Draymond was needed to play back-to-backs when they were down Pascal, they were down Wiseman, Looney. Is there a range of outcome where Kerr's like, all right, we got bodies now. I don't need to push Draymond 38 minutes. So those are all kind of like stuff that I'm watching. But Draymond at his peak a couple years ago was an everyday reliable 35-plus minute guy. So if he's back to that, I definitely think he's still cheap enough to take a shot on. Quan says, I think Vooch got the L the hardest. Nah. So I think we have to put context into players' performances for fantasy, players' performances for real life, and then players' performances for a team's success or lack thereof. To me, I think Devin Booker's the biggest snub of them all. And the reason I say that is I get it. Vucevic's stats are outlandish, but they're because of no faults, right? No Cole Anthony, no Aaron Gordon. Even then, the Magic are a losing team, and they're just not getting it done. Same with the Hawks, right? Trae Young, he's been snubbed, but his team is 5 games under 500. So you're not winning. I think Sabonis being a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, 1 game over 500, mind you, I get it. But in the Western Conference, I mean, the Suns are, first of all, I don't want to pay Booker for what happened last year, but ever since the bubble, right, the Suns have been good, and Devin Booker's been a large catalyst, and the Suns went undefeated in the bubble for ever. And now they're 10 games over 500, and Devin Booker's got a 20-win team. Chris Paul missed a stretch of games, and Booker's just been so good, so efficient. It doesn't get in. So, I don't know. I think from what they're looking for, from what the criteria is, it's not about points per game or anything like that. Just about efficiency and value to your team. I think Devin Booker is like the guy that got smacked the hardest. But I think Sabonis like has a case himself. But the 10 games over 500, I don't know, man. Believe in this game alone. Damian says Booker didn't play as good as Paul. That's why CP3 is all-star, not Devin Booker. Can't choose them all. Yeah, I also think that's where the popularity vote comes in. Like, people love Chris Paul. He's been around for years. It is what it is. How about LeBron, Capella versus Tatum and Murray? I'm probably going Tatum and Murray easily. We'll talk more about the Lakers game here in a little bit, but at Utah is just something I don't love. And I love Tatum today without Kemba against a good matchup, the Atlanta Hawks, and Jamal Murray's just been on a tear. My goodness, man. I keep sneezing. Suns were insane in the bubble. Yeah, they were wild. Luka starting and Mavs are 15 and 15. Yeah. and Luka's definitely poster boy for popularity contest, man. Everyone loves Luka. Someone's got to miss, right? Someone's going to be on the bubble, doesn't make it in there. And there's always going to be a snub. I can't remember the last year where we all just collectively say, they got it right. They got it right. Everyone that's in should be in, and everyone that's out should be out. Like, this is going to be people that don't take it too personal, you know? Detroit Pistons at the New Orleans Pelicans. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pistons: Dennis Smith Jr., Wayne Ellington, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, taking on Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Stone Cold Steven Adams. He's going to get one board. What? 223 total, 9.5 point spread in favor of the home team Pelicans. Pistons on a night 2 of a back-to-back. They've been limping without DeLon Wright. No more Blake Griffin, Killian Hayes, their star rookie still out. Jahlil Okafor's been out. And then, of course, Derrick Rose sent off to the Knicks. And this has created, and I keep saying Nick Nurse, and it's Dwayne Casey because my brain is stuck on Toronto. And Dwayne Casey's been putting together some weird, not weird, but he's been kind of throwing curveballs at us slate to slate. Yesterday there was no Wayne Ellington, and we saw Svi Mikhailiuk start. Saben Lee still benefited from minutes. Let's pull up the popcorn machine on that. We've had 2 games of sample size now without DeLon Wright. So yesterday, Detroit at Orlando, won by 12, by the way. We saw Svi, Sadiq Bey, DSJ, Jeremy Grant, and Mason Plumlee start yesterday. Dennis Smith Jr., back-to-back games of under 20 minutes. Something to take note of. Svi Mikhailiuk basically got the Wayne Ellington treatment. Ellington's about a 17 to 22-minute guy. But Saben Lee had over 30 minutes 2 games ago and had 29 minutes yesterday, which was good for top 4, top 5 on the team in minutes. Close out the fourth quarter with Josh Jackson. So I think Saben Lee's starting to earn that role, and I hate to be over invested in Dwayne Casey's minutes here, but it seems like Saben Lee's the guy. And again, DraftKings has not overcorrected his price like FanDuel did. FanDuel took 1 game and they made him $5K. Yesterday, Saben Lee was $3,200. Now he's $3,800. And the spread on this one kind of creates an opportunity for it to be lopsided. But even if it is, Saben Lee probably is out there anyway. The Pelicans are one of the league's worst defenses when it comes to defensive rating, 116.3 points per 100 possessions. So Saben Lee on DraftKings probably going to be a core fixture in my value pool. And then I think everyone else has a chip in a chair. I think Sadiq Bey could still give me an argument at 30. Jeremy Grant, 7'4", 7'6". None of these guys are fun. They're not warm and fuzzy clicks. They're inconsistent. But I think they probably hit tier 3 just because of the matchup. I love playing teams against the Pelicans. And Mason Plumlee at 6,400. I think 30-plus fantasy points is within the range of outcomes for him. On the Pelican side, I do like Lonzo Ball at 6,400. We've been seeing 30-plus minutes out of him. I think every now and then in this spot, I think he has a case for 40-plus fantasy points. If you look at his recent stretch of games, 32, 54, 34, 28, and he chucks a ton of threes, 6, 12, 10, 7. The Detroit Pistons are just bad at really defending everything. But I think this is a good spot for Lonzo Ball at 6'4" to kind of surprise some people. And I don't think you can really go wrong with anyone on the Pelicans if you think you get their ample amount of minutes, right? Brandon Ingram and Zion both should be walking shots at 40-plus fantasy points, and even Steven Adams. But I probably don't need to land on Adams as much just because of his low ceiling in terms of minutes. Off the bench here, if you believe in this game getting a little bit lopsided, Josh Hart under 5K on both sides, probably will be fourth on the team in minutes played, and he's a little bit of a do-it-all type of guy. So I think there's several justifiable clicks in this game, but number one, at least on DraftKings, being Saben Lee for me, and then I think there's good shots at 40. I think that the pushback on Zion here is he's close enough to Jason Tatum levels where you probably just want that Tatum ceiling, right? I think Tatum's ceiling is probably a little bit higher today. But this is still a great spot for everyone involved in the Pelicans starting lineup here. But Pistons do suffer at surrendering points in the paint. And they also give up an elevated amount of blocks per game. So maybe we get some surprises from Zion and Ingram in terms of picking up some of those peripherals for FanDuel. Let's see what you guys got in the live chat. Desmond says Tobias should have gotten in rather than Ben Simmons. It's just that Ben is more popular. I will agree with the Ben is more popular statement. My guy Levine got his first All-Star game. We love to see it. Yeah, Slow Money. What's up, Slow Money? Fred VanVleet got snuffed harder than Booker. Did he though? I again, like I don't think it's harder than Booker. I think Booker, in terms of value to the team and what the team is still doing, it is what it is. Like I like Fred VanVleet as much as the next guy, but they're a 500 basketball team. I mean, you know. Devin Booker's 10 games over 500. It's just as simple as that. Like, who has the best win record and who's been Mr. Consistent playing all those games? It's so easy to get wrapped up in players' value because of what we do for fantasy. Like we okay, this guy's a great fantasy play, but from a real basketball standpoint, Devin Booker's playing his role. But yeah, somebody's not going to make it. And Van Vliet, in terms of his competition versus Booker's competition in the West and East, you're walking uphill with the guards over there in the East. Chris Paul deserved the spot. I'm fine, right? If Chris Paul didn't make it, oh well. If he did make it, it's whatever. It's like, I don't know. Sabonis is not the popular pick, not at all. DJ season, I don't think I'm touching Dennis Smith Jr. With your lineups if you're in a head-to-head with me. I don't know. Like that's. It seems like we're not getting 20-plus minutes. We didn't get 20-plus minutes with Wayne Ellington. We didn't get 20-plus minutes without Wayne Ellington. I just have to go with what we have seen. So I'm just gonna lean on Saban Lee, but Dwayne Casey could shake it up. It is what it is. Temple or Josh Hart on FanDuel. So Garrett Temple in a matchup against the Timberwolves. I'm gonna probably say Garrett Temple here, but it's closer to a coin flip. But I'll probably say Garrett Temple. Buff balls. UK over VCU. Okay. Mundo's World. What about Svi? So McCallie likely just goes to 15 or less minutes of just being out there. I think yesterday was a plus because he got to start because Wayne Ellington was out. But it looks like Ellington's in the mix, and I don't really think there's a reason. If we want some value, I think this slate isn't void of value. I think we can find some ample guard value elsewhere. And I think like Saban Lee on the same team. I think Saban Lee just seems like he's the safest of the four, right? Dwayne Casey did DSJ dirty yesterday, right when the boys started balling. He left him on the bench. And yeah, so per minute for fantasy points, like Dennis Smith hasn't been the worst for an obscure value play, but yeah, he's just not getting the run, right? Sadiq Bey, yeah, I don't mind him. So Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, all in and of themselves at their price points in this matchup, all have a case to exceed value and be great stocking stuffers for your lineups. But I mean, Jeremy Grant could also just drop 30. Jeremy Grant's window is so wide; it could be 30, 50. And I think in this matchup against a porous Pelicans defense, you would think 50 happens more than 30. So if you wanted to go after that, I think he probably leads the team in minutes. I think that's fine. Yesterday, 33 minutes, 36 DKP. Back-to-back games with 36 and a quarter. But you see 48's in the wheelhouse, 47, 53. It's just not consistent. So I don't mind it. Don't run. He got a gun. Hold up. Butler, Siakam, or Brown. If Dragic and Hero are both in, I'll probably walk a little bit backwards on Butler, and then Brown, assuming that's Jaylen Brown and not like Sterling Brown or something like that. Probably Jaylen Brown without Kemba against the Hawks. We ran it earlier. Jaylen Brown without Kemba and Marcus Smart is a 1.2 fantasy point per minute in less than like 140 minutes of sample size, but it's just a good matchup. Next game on the docket, Minnesota. The Minnesota Timberwolves at the Chicago Bulls. Project starting five for the T-Wolves: Ricky Rubio, Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, and Karl Anthony Towns. The Big Cat, Ernie Ladd, taking on Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Garrett Temple, Patrick Williams, and Wendell Carter Jr. 228.5 is our total. And a 4-point spread in favor of the home team Chicago Bulls. Last night, the T-Wolves' first game under new management at the Milwaukee Bucks. They were massive road dogs here. But just out of curiosity, how did the coach utilize his roster of players? Well, in the first quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players touched the court. And it looks like he went with that 9-man rotation until the game kind of got away in the fourth quarter. And then he extended a little bit to Jake Layman and Juancho Hernan-Gomez. in the first quarter, we saw Karl Anthony Towns play like all but 4 or 5 minutes, and he played 36 minutes altogether until they threw in the towel. The quote going into that game was that they wanted to run this offense through Karl Anthony Towns. So this could be indicative of them staying true to that plan. And I think this matchup is a lot softer than the Bucks matchup, and at under 10K, I have a soft projection at 31 minutes on Cat. I'm willing to wiggle that up to like 36 later, and I think Cat could be severely underpriced considering the matchup, the pace of this game, and his volume, his role, his usage. So Cat already, I think, has an argument for me to be a tier 1 center in terms of exposure later on today, and I've got him at 45 fantasy points on the 31-minute projection. I think as I raise that projection, we get into the 50 pluses against the Bulls. So I do like Cat early on. I still think the rest of the T-Wolves lineup will be somewhat hard to predict in terms of success, but Anthony Edwards at under 6K, I still expect him to have a high shot volume. You know, he gets the ball, he'll chuck it. He just doesn't shoot with a high efficiency. Last night, 3 for 13, 3 for 11, does he make more than 3 shots in a game? Jesus, 3 for 15. But every now and then, he'll hit 10 shots, 7, and 30 plus fantasy points is there. It's a pace up spot, so he'll fill the stat sheet a little bit against this Bulls defense. So I don't mind some tier 3 shots in the dark on Edwards, but Beasley as well in the mix. But Karl Anthony Towns is easily my favorite here. And if we're going to run it back, Zach LaVine 9.8, 9.6, uncomfortable price point there. We need that 50 plus fantasy points. But certainly a positive correlation, and we have plenty of value on the slate to just try and throw a net over those raw points. We talked about Garrett Temple. Somebody 1v1'd him versus Josh Hart. I think Temple's got the minutes to be a positive play today, under 5K. I'd love 25 to 35 fantasy point window. Last 5 games has been 25 or less, and the Sacramento matchup, 30 minutes in that matchup, you probably think you could do a little bit more. But if he's just out there being a role player, like, I don't mind him as a stocking stuffer. He's still cheap enough to where 25 doesn't cripple your lineup. And then Wendell Carter Jr. coming off his best game of the season. I'd be curious to see, 1, where his ownership lands, and 2, to see what he does in this game. I do think Karl Anthony Towns is going to stretch him out a little bit more, so maybe that might limit some rebound potential. Kobe White, I think, is cheap enough to have some darts on, but Cat is just soaring, just screaming at me, gun, play me. What do you guys got here? Slow money. Speaking of Saban Lee, what happened to the 7th Woods? The name just remember, dude. I don't know. What do you think about Wendell Carter Jr. or over 13.5 real points? I haven't projected. Control F. Wendell. I haven't projected at 12.5, so not an over that I would bet. We don't know how this new coach handles back-to-backs. He might limit minutes. I mean, I agree. We're gonna have those thoughts for a long time, but there's really not anything to suggest that Cat wouldn't still lead the team in usage and potentially minutes. I think that's a reasonable thought or a reasonable doubt to have. But Cat's never really been one of those guys historically that I worry about that minute run, and I think this is an exploitable matchup. So yeah, I'm going to have a decent chunk of Cat. I have to see if he makes it officially to tier 1, but I feel like in pencil I'd be jotting him down as one of my favorite guys that can exceed 50 fantasy points under 10K, right? I like Levine for 60 tonight. You're calling it. I don't mind the call, but he borderline needs it. I think on FanDuel, you guys got to remember that somebody that's more scoring dependent for their fantasy value, like a Levine, is a little harder to get there on FanDuel than it is on DK. DK, you're going to get less tax on the turnovers. You're going to get a bonus for him chucking threes. So maybe he's a better DraftKings play than FanDuel play, a little cheaper, but I don't think it's a crazy call. Timberwolves defense are very, very expendable. Ibsen Bracey, what up, Ibsen? Did I miss any tier ones? Gun tier ones. I don't think you did. Let me double check. Oh, I think Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum could be up there by the time lock hits. If Oladipo, Eric Gordon are out, I think John Wall could be up there. And that's probably it. I think on DraftKings, you'd have to value core Saban Lee. But so far, that was it. Revenge narrative for Zach LaVine. Yeah. Y'all spending up for Lean a little bit pricey. He's a little bit pricey, right? Even 50 isn't like slate breaking. You take it, but he's got to drop it, right? What's up, Josh? Dario Saric is a cheap option. Maybe Saric is like end result. Like I compared his game log to like Javal McGee the other day. Like solid end results, but he's doing it in minimal amount of minutes. So you kind of feel like you're giving yourself a glass ceiling if he does underperform. Desmond Morris, as a Bull, Levine's going to be in Space Jam mode tonight with that one more gun. Towns over 15.5 rebounds and assists. Thoughts? 15.5 rebounds and assists. I'll look what I got. Because Levine is what I got. 10 rebounds, 3 assists. So I don't have him over 15.5. I don't know. Man, you make some weird bets. Rebounds and assists for a center. That sounds fun. Miami Heat hosting Toronto Raptors. Raptors night 2 of back-to-back. Projects 35 for the Raptors. Kyle Lowry, probable. Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam taking on Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G buckets. If you didn't know, the G, it stands for gets. He gets buckets. Kelly Olynyk, Bam Adebayo, a 214 total, 2-point spread in favor of the home team Miami Heat. A 214 total. This game is very low scoring projected wise. On the Miami Heat side, we need to keep an eye on the status of both Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic. We'll start with Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is listed as questionable with a bruised right hip. He was, quote, feeling a little better on Monday despite sitting out Miami's win versus OKC. Eric Spoelstra said we'll continue to evaluate him day to day. It is feeling a little better than it did Sunday, so that's a good sign. Hero gets another day to rest before a 4-game homestand here, starting with the Raptors. Goran Dragic listed as questionable. He's dealing with a sprained left ankle. That's kept him out for quite a bit. He hasn't played since February 5th, and his return should have a negative impact on Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn, in the last couple of games, sans not just Goran Dragic, but without Tyler Hero, has seen 40 and 41 minutes, has gotten 40 or more minutes in 3 of his last 4 games, and sometimes it takes him all of those 40 minutes to be a solid fantasy play. So I think one of Hero and Dragic being active would be enough to say, all right, maybe Nunn isn't that super safe. But if both of them are active, I'm willing to walk backwards. It's kind of annoying that the sites didn't really adjust or correct Kendrick Nunn's price based on what he has been doing. But if both Dragic and Hero are in, I'm putting that 40 minutes to 27 minutes. And then there's even a chance that maybe he doesn't start. But I think he will. And if those guys are in, it also represents some extra minutes of usage and whatever for Jimmy Butler to maybe not continue to put up these 50 bombs. But I think it's like that's just which way the wind blows today when the news comes out. So if you're taking notes, keep an eye on that. On the Raptor side, we had a decent stretch of games without Kyle Lowry, and that opened up bigger minutes for VanVleet. Norman Powell, OG Anunoby have both stayed in recent starting lineups, kicking Aaron Baines to the curb. We'll see if they stick with that approach here. We've also seen DeAndre Bembry start, and I think he gets kicked to the curb, obviously, in this rotation. Kyle Lowry, big source of trade rumors, but I got to be honest, if I'm putting every game on the table here and I'm just going by totals and whatnot, I mean, a 214 total is a yikes fest. So I'm I'm probably willing to let the process eliminate this game from my player pool, and I'd come back to it if I thought I would get 40 minutes of Kendrick Nunn, because 40 minutes is just such a large opportunity that I would probably have to go grab some. But what do you guys know with this game? Am I sleeping too hard, right? If Jimmy Butler comes out here and puts up another potential triple-double, it's a great play at 9.2, 9.3. There's just so much. There's a few names that are in the same price range. They just feel more fun to play, and I could see me going that way. But I think the process is slow-paced game, two above average. I want to say above two league average defenses when they're and above average when they're healthy, and just a low-scoring game. So I probably just stay away and hope for the best. But you guys got any feelings in your bad knee on great plays in this one? Let me know. Gotta love Guns projections. Dude's like a DFS scientist, a mad scientist. Yeah. Only thing is, my projections, they basically stop at lock. Once lock happens, man, I'm out of there. I'm enjoying life. Lonnie Walker or Patty Mills on FanDuel. Ooh. That'll be next, Willie. If you stick around, I'll chop that one up. We'll see what we're dealing with. But the Spurs are going to be hard to figure out. I think I might fade this one. Same. Duncan looks like a good value. Duncan Robinson, 4,500. If all those guys are out and you thought you could get 30 minutes of a Duncan Robinson, 10-plus shot attempts, I actually don't think that's crazy. If we dig a little bit deeper, Duncan Robinson, if we pull up his game log, we know he's basically a pure shooter. But look at the shot volume, 15, 8, 13, and a lot of them are going to be from behind the arc. 10-plus shot attempts from behind the three-point line at OKC, at Sacramento, at Golden State. He's going to have double-digit shot attempts from behind the arc. And if we pull up that team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, I want to look at two stats. Points in the paint allowed per game. Toronto's given up the second fewest points in the league per game in the paint, meaning buckets by the basket. The only team giving up less is the opposite-sided Miami Heat. And then when it comes to points via the three ball, naturally, the Toronto Raptors are giving up fifth, sixth most points via the three ball. So it is a good spot. Like if we're taking advantage of, and we know Jimmy Butler's not chucking threes at all. It is actually a good spot for Duncan Robinson if we just live and die by those metrics, knowing that he's going to take double-digit shot attempts from behind the arc. A couple of fake rebound numbers the last couple games. I don't know if I'm going after that, but I don't think that's a crazy. Like I'm glad you mentioned that. Who took it? Mundo's World. I'm actually glad you mentioned that because I think on FanDuel, I'll put him in my back pocket and fire some shots at him because I could justify it with stats, and we love stats. I think this game's a fade unless Miami news comes out. I think Miami news should come out. And like I said, I probably would need both out to feel the warm and fuzzies there. But I'm warming up to 4,500 Duncan Robinson on FanDuel. And then, like I said, firing it back, who's chucking the most threes on the Raptor side? You know, maybe Norman Powell gets hot or Van Vliet, somebody like that. Maybe this is a three-point shootout. Let's move on to the next game here. Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the San Antonio Spurs. Project starting five for the Spurs. Dejounte Murray, Patty Mills, Lonnie Walker, LaMarcus Aldridge, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? Taking on Theo Maledon, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Darius Bazley, and Al Horford. We got 217.5 total, and the spread right now a pick'em, which is indicative of a competitive game. Spurs have missed quite a stretch here due to COVID protocols. They will be without DeMar DeRozan, without Rudy Gay, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Derek White. All significant minutes and significant role players. Keldon Johnson, DeRozan, both representing probably 30 minutes apiece. Derek White, 25 or more. Rudy Gay, 25. So we fill in the blanks here, and I think Dejounte Murray's probably leading the charge here is my favorite option. I guess just for science sake, we can come up here and try to run an on-off court tool, but I don't know that we'd have significant sample size to draw too many conclusions. But for the heck of it, we'll take off Vassell, we'll take off Rudy Gay, Keldon Johnson, DeRozan, Derek White, and that's it. Pulling them off the court without doing anything and putting, 15 minutes of total sample size. It's not incredible. So we'll just have to play the eye test here and just kind of put deep minutes on guys that we know we could play at a NBA level. Dejounte Murray, I got him leading the team in minutes and likely leads the team in just usage. I think he does a little bit of everything. And at 7'5", 7'4", he has an early case of being a tier 1 exposure guy for me just because he does a little bit of everything. DeRozan, if we take him off the court, we know what we're removing. We're removing typically a lot of shot volume, 11, 15, 12, double-digit shot attempts being plucked from the lineup. Derek White, the same. That's the wrong White. Pull off Derek White. 15, 11. So we might have to replace 30 to 40 shot attempts with all these guys. And I think Dejounte Murray would be the main beneficiary in terms of not only taking more shots, but facilitating 2 more shots, creating more shots, and assist numbers going up. I think he would be somebody I look at for you prop bettors. Let's see if we can get a decent number on assists for Dejounte. I don't have them. PricePicks has a really low card selection at the moment. I'm hoping they're going to add to it because this is a large slate. Usually these big slates, I love going out here shopping for. There we go. That looks a lot. Oh, that's for fantasy scores. Whenever Dejounte Murray, what can we get on him for prop bets? Because I think we can't. I can't get an assist prop. I think Dejounte Murray could have a really, really large amount of assists tonight. And I think he's probably a tier 1. Patty Mills looks like a potential core value. 30 minutes of him, point per minute. Can't really see that crushing you here. Lonnie Walker, same song and dance. I think the San Antonio Spurs are going to be the apple of a lot of DFS eyes today. You'll probably see a lot of 3 and 4 Spur lineup stacks, and there's really nothing pushing back against it. Maybe more people were on Trey Lyles this morning, thinking Aldridge would be out, but with Aldridge in, maybe you walk backwards on him. But 1 through 5 on the Spurs, I think all have logistic cases, and the prices are fine. Like I don't have any pushback, and I think if you guys have watched any DFS content today, not just this video, the field's going to be really high on it. So do with that as you may. But I think Dejounte Murray has the case to be a tier 1 for me. And the fact that it's a pick'em says so much about the Thunder here. Like on the road for the Spurs and the home team Thunder, it's just a pick'em. With that said, I think SGA, 7.5 on FanDuel, 8.5. Should lead the team in minutes and probably 40-plus fantasy points. Can I get a shot at 50-plus? I think the Spurs defense really is nothing to run from, especially with some of the guys that they have out. So I think SGA should thrive and would be a positive correlation to lineups that have 3-plus Spurs. So I don't mind that. Al Horford, I tend to just look at him when SGA was out. Baisley has a shot to be a strong play, but SGA is probably starting at the tier 2, and then tier 3 would be like a Baisley and somebody like that. What are you guys doing here, chat? Because I think this is a good way to kind of gauge where the field might be. Des has gone with Dejounte likely to draw Dort defense. Any hesitations on Dejounte? No, but that's because Dejounte Murray isn't necessarily shot dependent, right? He can get you those hustle stats, those steals, the rebounds, the assists, all that good stuff. So Dejounte Murray could have 10 real points and still be a super solid play. Look at the Charlotte game: 12 rebounds, 6 assists, couple steals, and that's the he's just gonna stuff the stat sheet enough to where he doesn't have to score too many real points. So I probably wouldn't let that get away from Dejounte. But if he was more scoring dependent, maybe there's a case for that. Murray's ownership is going to be high. Somebody early gave me a 2v2 and said Murray, and my brain just went to Jamal Murray. So now I'm thinking he meant Deontay Murray. My bad. What's up, Joseph? Just pull the high usage guys off. Johnson, DeRozan, White. You might get a bigger sample size. Yeah, I got less than 20 minutes as is. We just have to play the brain game here. How many minutes for Lyles? I wrote him down at 18, which chip in a chair, right? What up, Ben Snapper? How you doing, bro? Think Aldridge could get a good play at 6K on DK if he gets normal minutes? I think he could, but we also have to be cognitive of what Aldridge has been doing this season with the same amount of minutes, wide range of outcomes, anything from 20 to 40, right? So I don't hate the thought of Aldridge, but it seems like this is the year that him and Blake Griffin have become very similar for fantasy plays, where their name value is greater than their consistent value. I got him at 32 fantasy points. If I thought 30-ish was about the ceiling here, and I don't know that it is, he could drop 40-plus easily. Remember, he was missing long before the COVID stretch of games here for the Spurs, right? Aldridge hasn't played in a hot minute. Let me pull up his last NBA appearance was February 1st, so we're talking 23-day break. So his sea legs are a little bit more rusty than everyone else. So I don't even know that, like, I don't even know if it's fair to project him for over 30 minutes with that in mind. So I would be least or less interested in Aldridge, just being cognitive of the fact that he really wasn't that great for fantasy purposes prior to this spot, and there were several games without DeRozan. I still think he's a fine, justifiable play. But if I had to start tapering exposures, or even if I had to just compare names to projected ownership, if Aldridge was, somewhere in the 30% owned by the field, I might take a calculated pivot and step away. But I like Deontay Murray. I think Aldridge could be a good play. 60. I think he could be a good play. But he could also be a bad play. Ben Snap, what up? Read something that said Aldridge goes off against OKC. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, we could always stat muse it, but I think stat muse will take a lot. It will take out a lot of context, and Aldridge goes off on a lot of teams before 2021. TKP by game log versus Thunder. Let's go last 10 games. Ah. 41, 13, 51, 46. Yeah, he's got a really good history against them. I guess you could at least point to the game this season where he dropped 41, 32 minutes, 13 and 10. 10 rebounds is kind of up there for Aldridge. But yeah, like I say, he could be a good play. But we've seen several games where he was completely irrelevant, could tank a lineup at 25 fantasy points. So my thought is, like, if I got to start leveraging some of the Spurs chalk, I might start with Aldridge, assuming that, he might be more owned than and overvalued by the field than what the median range outcome is here. So if I build a lineup backwards and I go after like a Sabonis or a high-end power forward, a Jason Tatum, somebody like that, I can justify those raw points versus these raw points and not feel like I'm making a crazy decision. Gun, you always say target Pelicans. This is the game that Grant goes off at 7,400. I like the idea of Grant, right? I think Grant, Mason Plumlee, Sadiq Bey, Saban Lee, all those guys will be in my player pool. But understand that his range of outcomes is pretty wide as well, right? A bunch of 30s, and every now and then he's going to drop 47.50, right? What else we got? Any Pirtle? I think Pirtle is okay. 6K. I need 30 plus. I think I'm sticking with the guard value here. I think Murray, Mills, and Walker are the three guys I'll probably gravitate to the most. And the front court will just kind of, if they fall, they fall. Gone. How do you feel about Dort as a value play tonight? I probably don't play him, right? I think there's going to be a lot of players tonight that we can classify and justify as value, and we're going to have to start extracting some players that we're just going to have to start taking stands. I don't want to spray and pray 20 value guys on my pool, right? I'm gonna start taking some stands here. And I think Lou Dort 5-1. He's not really a value play on DK anyway, but on FanDuel is 4-4. If you thought 25-35 is a potential window, like go for it. But he's probably not somebody that's gonna crack my front lines. 27, 14, 22. It seems like his median range of outcome with SGA with Horford and everyone healthy, basically, guys like that. It seems like the median range of outcome is like 20 between 20 and 24. I'd take it, but I could also do without it, What about Aldridge on FanDuel 5,600? Yeah, again, the case for Aldridge is fine. Usage is up without DeRozan. He could lead the team in shots. Should be able to score in the paint. Oklahoma City Thunder give up a lot of point in the paint. Aldridge can be a jump shooter anyway. I think the case is there. I just think we have to appreciate that Aldridge wasn't super consistent from a fantasy perspective heading into this game. It already missed 23 days. My case, what I was saying is, if he's going to be over-owned, he'll be the guy I stay away from, right? Just look how high variant his game log is. You don't have to scroll far to see what I'm trying to say, right? 17, 26, 13, 32. Like, we want the 30s, right? But we don't want the 9s. We don't want the 14s. And that's what I'm trying to drive home here is, I think he's overvalued by the field. So he could be a good play today, but I think he's overvalued generally when you simulate this 100 times. So if he is projected to be 30% or greater, I'll probably just use that as leverage and hope he doesn't drop 50 and break the slate. And if he breaks the slate and you have him, like, cool. Like, we got to make some stands. You know what I'm saying? Any Patty Mills love? Yeah, I think Mills, Murray, and Walker are all very justifiable plays today. Let's move on to the next game here. Charlotte Hornets at the Phoenix Suns. Project starting 5 for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, P.J. Washington, Cody Zeller. On the Suns side, we got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, McCall Bridges, Frank Kaminsky, and DeAndre Ayton. 225 is our total. 9.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Phoenix Suns. Hornets, a little tough road stretch here coming out of Utah. Gordon Hayward on the south side of 7K has a date logistically here with McCall Bridges' defense. And then Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball are both priced at an uncomfortable click range. But I think in the absence of Devontae Graham with the heightened minutes on Rozier and Ball, Rozier has been just chucking. I got 38 minutes on Terry Rozier, and I still I want to drive home that the Suns are one of the best defenses in the league, especially at home. But Rozier's shot volume could be nutty dumb. 19, 29, 20 shot attempts the last couple games, and the minutes are up there as well. Utah game, they were in that game at half. As a matter of fact, I think they might have been winning that game at half. And then Gordon Hayward got injured, and Utah does what Utah does. So I think if you think that the Hornets could scrap long enough, strong enough, Terry Rozier at 7-9 would be one of those I'm gonna say insane, but one of those clicks that you look up at 100K to first. Maybe he's in the winning lineup. Same with LaMelo Ball. Showing up against a guy that he probably studied quite a bit from, Chris Paul and Devin Booker. But just naturally, generally speaking, Hornets as a below-average team, both offensively and defensively, going against a top defense, a top 4 or 5 team in the West, perhaps a top 6 team in basketball. Their back's against the wall on this one, so we're probably not going too crazy with Hornets exposure. And then on the Suns side, I think you can make individual cases for a lot of plays here, but I think we have pivots that are already at these price ranges hard to justify this guy, like Chris Paul versus Dejounte Murray, right? Hard to click Paul with a high level of confidence over Dejounte, understanding Dejounte's potential role today in terms of higher uses, higher minutes, and a more competitive game, that game being a pick 'em. And then DeAndre Ayton's interesting because, like we said earlier, he's averaging a double-double on the season, and he's going to go against a softer matchup, Charlotte Hornets. Hornets also allow a lot of points via the three ball here. Maybe Devin Booker. If we want to play some all-star snub stuff, we talked about Devin Booker not making the cut. Maybe Devin Booker just has a three-point contest here. Doesn't chuck a ton of threes, but we'll take double-digit shot attempts, but 2, 7, 5. Chuck some shots from beyond the arc. Can we get over 40 fantasy points from Devin Booker? Obviously, we can. Do you guys have any funny feelings about Suns here? I would I don't want to say assume. I would think this game could blow out, and I called that with the Blazers game the other day. Suns at home, they're just strong when they're full strength. Their defense is clicking. So unless we get something like a Chris Paul being out, I just don't really have a high expectation for Hornets individually, and I probably will just taper my exposure, if at all, to Suns. Like I said, Paul to Dejounte Murray, Devin Booker to, he's not that far from like a Jaylen Brown, stuff like that. Even if Oladipo was out and Eric Gordon was out, John Wall's in the mix. So I just think there's pivots that feel more fun and in perhaps higher upside spots. I don't know. LaMelo low owned at 12% as of now. Yeah, I guess LaMelo is a chip in a chair any slate, right? No matter what the matchup is. Kind of like Dejounte, does a little bit of everything. He could stuff your stat sheet, rebounds, assists, steals, and whatnot. Over 40 fantasy points against Utah. Still played really, really deep minutes. So maybe he'll be under-owned for his talent, but, matchup isn't something that just makes me warm and fuzzy. I don't know if I should pivot from SGA to Booker. Gunn, what do you think? I probably, if I'm going to be heavily invested in the Spurs, I probably want to stick with some SGA as a positive correlation, kind of like the NFL run back theory. But I think, like, individually, I don't think Devin Booker's a bad play, especially if you are a snub believer. A lot of big names were backing him up yesterday. Mundo's World said Monk's looking all right. Malik Monk, I don't mind Malik Monk. I think if we put some context to his minutes. Is it fair to say that he benefited from a blowout in Gordon Hayward injury? Let's pull this up and double check. Malik Monk, decent run in the first half, and then Gordon Hayward got injured a couple minutes into the fourth quarter. Malik Monk immediately came in, essentially closed out the game. So maybe, and he only played 24 minutes as it is. So maybe Malik Monk's more of a 20-minute guy versus anything else. But I don't hate the thought of Malik Monk, right? Especially if you thought the game got lopsided. Could you speak to why Jay Crowder has minutes low last two games? If he plays 30, he is cheap. I think it's just scoreboard dependent. I think they blew out the Blazers. Blazers was a 32-point win. The Memphis Grizzlies was a 30-point win. The Pelicans, 15-plus point win. I think they're just smoking teams, and he's one of the first men off the court when that happens. And just out of just to kind of put some credence to that sentence, we can go pull up Portland at Phoenix, where Phoenix won by 30, and just kind of look at where Crowder's minutes was. Yeah, Crowder came off the court during the fourth quarter, and guys like Abdul Nader, Langston Galloway, Javon Carter all closed it out. So I think Crowder's one of those guys that gets run in more competitive games. And if you think this game could be more competitive, go for it. Would you go with Booker over Capella? Ooh, on FanDuel? I almost always go center over guard in 1v1s, especially if they have similar minute projections. I think Capella could potentially become an even stronger play if John Collins does not play. And until we get some type of literature or quotes to come out to suggest that John Collins would be closer to in, I think John Collins is closer to out because he got injured yesterday and didn't come back. So I probably go Capella just for the floor. I think you get a double-double floor, but I don't know. That's such a tough one. Coin flip, right? Top Shot pack drop, y'all. Are we for real? Hold up. If so, 1 second. I'll join the queue. Yeah, if you guys are into Top Shot, According to James, we got ourselves a pack drop. So I'm going to go to Top Shot here. Site going really slow, so that's indicative of some slow stuff. Usually they do drops at the top of the hour. So let's see if there's a room open. Stress test at 2 p.m. Pacific. Is that now? So if I join drop, 5,000 left. 6 more minutes to the pack drop. I honestly appreciate that. Like, I literally appreciate that. You keeping me alerted. Matter of fact, last night, I didn't get a pack last night, but I was like halfway into the shower, and I looked at my phone, and I think it was it Josh? Josh hit me up on Twitter. So in 5 minutes. So if you guys know how this works, you join the drop, you get in the queue. 5 minutes, we'll get a number, and I'll try and multitask here. Let me make sure our Discord knows. Yeah, Discord does know. All right, I appreciate that. I really do. I do. All right, let's move on to the next game here. It's the last game, so take a pause for the cause, get a couple plugs out the way while we're all counting down the pack drop. We'll start with the plug for Prize Picks. If you guys are looking to further reward your daily research, check out PrizePicks.com. They're a site that allows you to parlay style bet on player individual props, anything from fantasy points projected to points to assists to rebounds. I think it's a fun way to better reward your research individually. They sent out a letter yesterday to the affiliates, and they mentioned they're actually going to have some fun stuff where they put higher ROI on some flex cards coming soon. So look out for that. You guys know the deal. A minimum of 2 picks, a maximum of 5 picks, and you could as much as 10x your return on your parlay card. You guys that play parlays, I love it. There's no vig, there's no juice on anything. It's just like over, under, boom, let's go for it. And I have a lot of fun on that. We have a lot of fun chopping up the picks. We have a tab in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet that has projections for all of what Prize Picks asks for. Fantasy points projected. This is consistent with the Prize Picks scoring, real points, rebounds, assists, and then if you guys bet on DK Sportsbooks or something like that, we have PRA and 3-pointers made because you can bet on 3-pointers over on Sportsbook. So if you guys want to try this out, PrizePicks.com. If you use code GUNDACKER, they will match your initial deposit up to $100 instantly. No slow drip, nothing like that. And if you wanted to try $20 on there, it turns into $40 just using code GUNDACKER. And then if you guys want access to the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, which has those projections I just talked about, you guys can get signed up at RunDFS.com. Make yourself an account, click VIP passes, and we have week passes, 2-week passes, month passes, stuff like that. That'll get you access to the spreadsheets for basketball. Baseball's around the corner. We got spring training this weekend. And then more importantly, it'll get you access to the premium Discord, looking a little something like this. We also have a Top Shot channel where we speculate, we talk strategy, stuff like that for what we're doing. And then BotDacker keeps us in the loop, up to the minute news as it drops on Twitter. So essentially, while you're here talking plays, you don't have to keep an eye on a second screen for Twitter. BotDacker's doing it for you. So it can be part of our community. And I did announce yesterday that I would actually accept Top Shot moments as payment for VIP. So if you guys have some cards worth anything from $30 to $500, $600, you can get anything from a week pass to a year pass in exchange for a moment that you might have paid $9 for. So check that out. I would appreciate you guys and welcome you guys to our community. Justin Sports, this Top Shot locked out of my account even though I entered the correct password. They still won't help me reset. Oh, no, that's tough. Royce O'Neal or Jay Crowder? I think Royce O'Neal minutes is a little bit safer, but neither one of them are giving me the warm and fuzzies. We got to have something better there, Ben, right? Wish I could play Prize Picks, but they don't have it available for Pennsylvania. Oh, man, that's tough. There are a few states that are not. The main thing that I love about Prize Picks is in Texas, I don't have access to FanDuel or DraftKings sports books yet. So it's a good way to kind of scratch that itch. until hopefully one day soon we get those. Can't wait to join Gun for baseball. I hear you know your baseball, man. The baseball spreadsheet. I try to be as humble as possible, but I think the baseball spreadsheet is probably the best tool out there for someone to be able to walk in off the street and never playing MLB DFS before and kind of understand and make sense of some of the most confusing metrics in baseball. I don't know. I don't want to get too cocky, but I think I'm very proud of the baseball spreadsheet. Andrew Collins, Ivica Zubac gifted me my first Top Shot moment a couple of days ago. Dude, I actually bought a Zubac card the other day, and I sold it, but he was one of the cheapest cards on the site, so I bought it, and then I flipped it a couple days later for like $25. Let's see if we got a number below 5,000. If not, I'll get back to blabbering. Hello, fam. Welcome to the waiting room. When we start the queue, you'll be randomly assigned a spot. It may take 1 to 2 minutes to get your spot in line. This is expected. Yep. Lee, Mills, Walker, Lyles, Allen, Curry, Tatum, Capella. So Lee. Who is Lee? Patty Mills, Walker. Who's Walker? Oh, Lonnie Walker. Lyles, Allen. Man, you got a lot of Spurs. Curry, Tatum, Capella. The bomb detector. Yes. What up, Dougie? Fresh gun. Steph or Draymond tonight? Steph for sure. Steph. Bomb detector. # idiot proof. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple. Like I do. The spreadsheet lets you. I don't know. Don't get me 32,000. So I'm not getting a pack here. So I'll get into the main event. If anyone in the chat has a number under 5K, congrats. I hope you guys pull LaMelo or Luka. And then, yeah, if you guys want to help me out, hit that thumbs up. Show some love here. Generate. It's been a while since we got like over 50 likes. I don't think it's possible. I don't think there's 50 of y'all that are man enough to go below this video right now and click the thumbs up. I'm calling you out. Lakers at the Utah Jazz main event tonight. Project starting 5 for the Lakers. LeBron James, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Wesley Matthews, Kyle Kuzma, Marc Gasol taking on Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert. A 218.5 total, a 9-point spread in favor of the home team, Utah Jazz. Utah, the best home team in basketball. It's not even close. And the Lakers, without Anthony Davis and without Dennis Schroeder, have just been looking pretty rough. You could tell LeBron's getting tired. They're in the worst spot imaginable on the road at Utah. I don't have high expectations for the Lakers, but if you are a year 18 LeBron truther, this is a great spot to showcase his MVP argument. I will likely full fade the Lakers completely. Kyle Kuzma's interesting. Montrezl Harrell's interesting. But I think I full fade the Lakers here. I'll put some respect on the Jazz name. The Jazz did come out kind of flat against the Hornets. Little revenge miss our old friend Gordon Hayward. Maybe we played down to our competition, but no one ever plays down to LeBron James. So I think Utah handles up at home. I do think Donovan Mitchell has a case. I think Mike Conley, there's a lot of buzz on his all-star snub. I'm not really going to the ends of the earth to attack that one. And it's a 9-point spread. You don't be surprised the Lakers get blown out at Utah tonight. So I'm very, very low on this game. I hate not having late night hammers, but tonight might be one of those nights where I just don't end up with much, if any, of this game. And everyone has a pivot. And yeah, chat, what are you doing with this one before we get out of here? BFAM, so it says I have 19,000 people ahead of me. What does that mean? It means you're not getting a pack. Essentially, 5,000 packs are dropped. You're in line. So if you're 19,000 in line and they only have for a hamburger and they only have 5,000 burgers, you're not getting a burger. But it is what it is. This turned into a DMV lottery. Hopefully they get another 50K drop soon. How much do people pay for a Top Shot moment on average? I think that's not really a fair question, or not a easy question to answer because it's the market. You know, there's common high high supply cards, and then there's uncommon cards that could go for hundreds of thousands. So, yeah, crossing over with Anthony Edwards. You ain't say it. Oh, my bad. Saban. Yep. Will LeBron go low owned on FanDuel for once tonight? Possibly. Guards have been feasting against the Lakers. Yeah, Lakers are giving it up right now. Like Donovan Mitchell tonight, I think this is the game gets up for against Bron. I'm with that. I missed it if you talk Spurs, but they are important tonight. Yes, I think my favorite Spurs are the guards, Dejounte, Patty, and Lonnie. And then I'm probably gonna be down on the front court, Aldridge and Pirtle, unless like ownership projections surprise me and they're not that crazy. Because I do think if I'm trying to find some leverage on mass entry, I think it could be with that front court, and there's pivots, right? So when I say I'm fading like LaMarcus Aldridge, I think there's an above average median range of outcome that he's just an average to below average play because that's what he's been this season. But also on FanDuel, there's plenty of raw point pivots. So we talk about this on value centers all the time, right? If we play a 3,500 center that gets us 25 fantasy points, we're happy. But when Jokic and Embiid have 60 and 70, it doesn't matter. So if Aldridge gets 30, if you play him, you're probably happy, and that's cool. But if I fade that 30 and I go get the potential raw points of a Sabonis or a Tatum that could double what Aldridge does, that's just kind of my approach here. But if Aldridge was projected under 20% by lock, I'd probably want a little piece of that. But I feel like he could be overvalued, so I'm just kind of sticking with the guards. There's no average. They will have different value packs. Yeah. Montrezl Harrell's looking okay. Yep. Why did they just name him Marcus Aldridge? What's up with the law? They named him Marcus Aldridge? You're trolling. I have LaMarcus. Why didn't they? Why didn't they just? Okay, why didn't they? I see what you're saying now, Des. Come on, man. we not finna get me caught up. Hold up. I don't know. LaMelo, right? Why didn't they just name him Melo? I don't know. That's cool. That's a good name. Whatever. Chat. That's it. That's today's slate. What's tomorrow looking like? I hope some of you guys are getting like some really good packs right now. Some really good moments. I wish we could have like a group moment open or pack opening session. I don't know. The demand for content on Top Shot is definitely growing, and there's a lot of content for Top Shot right now, but it's all like nerds and analytics and not entertaining. So maybe we'll do some stuff here tomorrow. 6 games. Mavs at the Sixers, Kings at the Knicks, Magic at the Nets, Clippers at the Grizzlies, Wizards at the Nuggets, and Pelicans at the Bucks, all within 2.5 hours of each other. So shorter slate. I love those 6 to 8 game slates, kind of the wheelhouse. So I might check that out. And I'll probably stick. We still try and stick in that 3 o'clock hour. It might be 3 or 3:30. We'll see. Eastern, 2:30 Central. Any lasting questions, comments, concerns here, chat? We got time. I don't have to be in the Discord for another 23 minutes. Yo, Gun, help me out. McCall Bridges, Daddy Osman, or Bey? I like the idea of Sadiq Bey's game being closer and the matchup being a plus, and Bey's potential volume is there, right? He can still take 10+ shot attempts. So probably Bey, but like I don't think that's like don't take that as like a high confidence answer. The other day, Sadiq Bey took 10 shots against Orlando, and they were all from behind the arc. But Sadiq Bey probably 25-30. It's a super soft matchup. They should have a pack opening with random consumers because they'd be mad hype. They kind of do. It's not on stream, but in their Discord, people will screen share. And then, of course, some NBA players like Josh Hart have been taken to Twitch and whatever to open packs, and they're getting kind of addicted. I'm kind of in the middle where I'm not on the site as a collector. I'm on the site as somebody trying to make money. And if it's making money off of Terry Rozier, who wants a serial numbered 1 moment, of a game winner, then I'll take Terry Rozier's money. Gosh dang it, he's taking some of mine. I need to get one of those Yankee beanies. Yo, can we talk just a second? Can we just for a second? Where are my Yankee fans out at? Aaron Judge, the homie. Y'all see me rocking the Gap, okay? I ain't ashamed of my Gap. Me, Michael Strahan, Aaron Judge, we all were rocking the Gap. But Aaron Judge said, nah, no more Gap, homie. No more Gap. Let's see if I get a picture of it. Okay, first of all, this is a picture of Judge's Gap. And then if I type in Gap. Look at that sucker, man. You kick a field goal through that. That's cool. That's me. We whistle sometimes when we're saying words that start with S. Michael Strahan's Gap. That's what you want. And then yesterday, the Yankees did a slew of press conferences. Aaron Judge Invisalign that bad boy shut. And I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about this. Come on, Judgy. I thought we had some. I thought we were Gap brothers. So no more Gap. Now Michael Strahan, the only Gap in New York. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Play Miles Turner at home? Sure. How do you feel about fading all of San Antonio? I don't feel that good about that one. I definitely think there's too much value and low opportunity cost to not project one or two of the Spurs to be optimal. Do you like Nwaba or House more if Gordon and Depot? I probably like Nwaba a little bit more. Do I play cash games? No. I used to be only cash or 80-20, and now I'm more of all tournaments, multi-entry tournaments. So it's like I can't make 150 lineups or 100 lineups or 50 lineups and then pick one for cash, right? Favorite Yankee? Mine's Giancarlo. Mine's easily Aaron Judge, all-time Derek Jeter. I'm pretty chalky. Ghetto Gap is going bye-bye, man. Oh, I love it. Can Judge stay healthy is the question. I hope so. They're making a lot of stuff on the boys doing yoga. But a lot of Judge's injuries aren't like, so Giancarlo gets injured running to first base. Judge, he got hit by a pitch from Jacob, what's his name, from the Royals. Jakob broke his wrist a couple years ago, and then he made a diving catch that punctured his ribs. Like he's getting injured by making plays or out of his control getting hit by fastballs. So I don't think it's fair to put him as injury prone as some of the other guys like Stanton. AD needs to release the unibrow. Oh no. Patty Mills is 49% owned. It's hard for him to miss at that price point. Maybe on FanDuel, kind of like the raw points case. Maybe on FanDuel, you can make the case that Patty Mills drops 25 fantasy points, and the people that play him feel super smart about getting 25. But then Steph Curry and Trae Young combine for 120, or John Wall. You know what I'm saying? So at 40%, I don't necessarily feel obligated to match the field, at least on FanDuel. On DraftKings, that's probably something that I want a piece of. Andre Drummond would be crazy with the Lakers. I'm keeping an eye on Boogie. Drummond, I think, is too expensive to just buy out and let walk. Boogie, they let him, buy out, walk, and I'm sure he wants to go straight to a contender. It's all about those tomahawks. All right, boys. That's going to be it. Oh, no. That's going to be it for this one. We'll be back on the airwaves tomorrow. I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord in about 15, 20 minutes. I'm hungry, so hopefully I can go find some grub before we get that cranked up, man. I appreciate you guys making part of my day, be part of your day. Hope you guys all crush it. Twitter.com/Gundacker. And hopefully you guys are packing some massive, massive highlight stuff, man. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.